Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott Anderson with Clackamas County's Public and Government Affairs Department. Today we're here for the local Public Safety Coordinating Council meeting. Malcolm McDonald, the director of the county's Community Corrections, is the new chair of the LPSCC. So Malcolm will be chairing this meeting. So today there will be public comments available at around 1:20 p.m. if not sooner. I'll prompt any members of the public on how to make comments at that time. People will also have the option to send in a question or comment via email, and we can go ahead and read those. So I'm going to share the screen really quickly. So you should see this email address, clacconews@clackamas.us. If you are a member of the public and you want to send in any questions or comments, send them to this email address. We'll be checking them. Again, that's clacconews@clackamas.us. I will. And if you do have a comment or question that you'll be asking in this meeting, we do ask that you provide your name and keep your comments to less than 3 minutes. With that being said, I'll turn it now over to Captain Malcolm McDonald.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our first LIPSIC meeting of 2021. Take the opportunity to welcome our two new members, Sheriff Brandenburg and DA Wentworth. Glad to have you on the team and part of the committee. Sheriff, was Under Sheriff Copenhaver going to be on today?
Yes, I think he's trying to join us, so he should be here as well.
Okay, well, when he joins, I'll do an introduction of him also. Under Sheriff Copenhaver will fill in for Sheriff Brandenburg when she's unable to attend. Also, I'd like to add the sheriff would like to have Under Sheriff Copenhaver represent the sheriff's office on the Advancing Racial Equity in the Public Safety work group. So moving forward, he'll be part of that work group. All right, we have
Captain McDonald.
Yes.
So I'm getting word that he's in either the waiting room or a participant, or he's somewhere in the Zoom land waiting to come on.
We'll see if
I will try to find him here.
All right, thank you.
There he is. Bruce is here. There we go. And now that Under Sheriff Copenhaver is here, I'd like to introduce him to the committee. Welcome, and we look forward to your participation moving forward also.
All right, thank you.
We have a pretty packed agenda to go through. So I'd like to get us moving in that direction. The first item up is the approval of minutes from the last meeting. So I would open the meeting for discussion on the minutes. Any concerns or any edits that need to be done? All right, no discussion. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second.
Adam Freer.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve and a second. How did we do this last meeting, Elizabeth? Did you want to poll or just have any nays?
I think any nays. Was it Adam that did the motion and Seth approved, seconded? I didn't catch that.
I think it was Bruce that seconded and Adam that made the motion to approve.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think any nays would be the easiest way.
Are there any nays? Motion passes. All right. That was a quick one. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. That will be the discussion and approval of Clackamas County Justice Reinvestment progress report for the period of July through December of 2020. And this is my item. Justice Reinvestment report comes from Community Corrections. That has been sent out. We have a work group that has an opportunity to review it and provide feedback prior that is made up of members of LIPSIC. So input was provided. So at this point, we will open it up for discussion and questions, and I'm available, and Valerie Adrian is also available from my office. It is not vastly different from the prior report, still impacted by COVID.
I spent a little time with this. I have a few questions about the purpose and the audience. Could you say a little bit more about the context for this report?
This report will go back to the Grant Review Committee and the Criminal Justice Commission. So they monitor our progress, what we're doing, how we're spending the money, what results we're producing. And so each recipient of Justice Reinvestment submits a similar report. So they're similar in nature.
As someone coming from maybe a different sector outside
Mm-hmm.
of public safety, it was a little difficult to follow. I mean, there's a lot of acronyms that were not spelled out. And so I think, if there is a desire for, this being public meeting and the general public to be able to consume and understand the report, I guess I would recommend, making sure that at least the acronyms are spelled out and maybe even a little intro included that could help just provide context for the reader.
Very good.
And ideally, if there was like an executive summary, that would be useful as well.
Yeah, the report goes into an online formatting, but certainly those are things that we could add on the front end that would be helpful. So your feedback's appreciated. And also potentially someone like you, Adam, having just a review on the non-criminal justice side might be helpful. Any other items for discussion?
Malcolm, did you have any highlights that you wanted to share?
Overall, there's not significant changes from our last report, mainly dealing with COVID, and things have remained stable, I would say, in the COVID environment with some forward movement, which I think will reflect in the next report, with protocols being able to be in place, PPE availability, the vaccine rolling out, and just having more things in place as we ended the reporting year. But still a lot of unknowns, the impact of COVID on the population we serve and the criminal justice system as a whole. So there's definitely further discussion on that. But JRI program specific, we've really had to reduce the number of people we're able to serve in our programs because of COVID protocols. And that's a system-wide effect also. So I think moving forward, we'll see other outcomes or items to focus on. We've mentioned the report where we want to look at how COVID has affected our programs in more in depth and see if we can have some areas to learn from, particularly in our treatment programs. But overall, it is I think as a whole, I think we've stabilized and I'd like to say we're kind of working in a positive direction after the impacts of COVID and starting to move a little bit forward.
Malcolm, I had a number of recommendations that I was able to share with you and Dr. Adrian last week. Have those been implemented or incorporated into the report, or where are we with those?
Yes, we incorporated your recommendations into the report as provided, and including the addition of some visuals there. And when we talk about the comparison of the CJC dashboards. Further discussion?
I'm wondering if the lowering of prison usage is more a result of postponed court cases or, court cases being pushed back than the use of diversion programs?
I would say that the system coming to a grinding halt and slowly moving forward has certainly reduced prison utilization greatly. And the increase or commutations that the governor is releasing individuals to is also reducing the population. So there's not a clear forecast of what the prison population may look like as the system returns to full capacity, but I certainly believe they're able to at least start closing. I've heard the conversations of closing the 2 prisons and consolidating to a degree moving forward. With no further discussion or not hearing any further discussion, would there be a motion to approve the July to December 2020 Justice Reinvestment Progress Report?
I make a motion to approve the report.
So I hear-
Second.
Christina made the motion to approve and Seth Lyons seconded. Are there any nays? I hear no nays. The motion is approved. All right, good. Thank you again. And thank you, Adam, for your feedback. I think I'll reach out to you for our next one. So we have a presentation. So we're on item number 4, Restoring Individuals, Communities and Hope, the Rich Diversion Program. Christina McMahon, Juvenile Director, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Malcolm. Hi, everyone. I have asked 2 guests to be with us today. The first one is Alice Perry, and she's going to introduce our second guest, who is Jimena Ospina Todd, who's going to be sharing information about the diversion program we started a little over a year ago, about 15 months ago, here in Clackamas County to serve young people as part of our continuum of services. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Alice. Alice is our Juvenile Services Manager, and this program falls under her portfolio of the many things that she works on. And Alice is also our Acting Assistant Director. She has a lot of things she's working on right now. So with that, I'll go ahead and let you do some introductory remarks, Alice. Thanks.
Hi, good afternoon. I was going to say good morning, but we're already in afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. As you all know, the Juvenile Department uses evidence-based decision-making and best practices to hold youth accountable while addressing unmet needs of youth so that they will have the best opportunity to be successful and stay out of the justice system. As Christina mentioned, we have a continuum of services that includes diversion, informal supervision, and formal supervision. But we know that the research shows that the deeper youth penetrate into the system, the higher likelihood of recidivism. And diversion from the justice system for low-level crimes and status violations is really the best way to prevent youth from penetrating the system. Latino Network is Clackamas County's partner in providing diversion services through the Rich Diversion Program. I'd like to introduce Jimena Ospina Todd, Director of Latino Network's Youth Empowerment and Violence Prevention Division.
Thank you, Alice. And Scott, let me see you. I'm going to be asking you to move the slides if you have the presentation ready.
Yes, I'll be getting, I'm going to share that right now. Okay, can everyone see that?
I can can
see
see it,
that?
but I would like to hear from others if you're seeing it.
Yes,
we
I-
can see it.
You see
Okay,
it, Scott. Yeah.
Perfect.
And we heard your cute son in the background.
He's definitely in the background. Yes.
and Scott, can you put it in presentation mode so we don't have to see?
It thought it was here, but let me see. No. It is in presentation mode on my side, so I don't know why it's not showing up. Let me see here. 1 second. Let me stop sharing and we'll share another screen here. There. Hopefully that works.
Yeah, I think it's working.
It looks good, Scott.
So
Perfect.
Scott, when I get to the end of the slide, then I'll ask you to move it to the next one, okay? All right.
Okay.
So my name is Jimena Ospina Todd, and I'm the director for the Youth Empowerment and Violence Prevention Division at Latino Network. And I'm very happy to be here and share about our new program, Restoring Individuals, Communities, and Hope, which is our diversion program in partnership with the Juvenile Department. So next. Hold on. So I don't know what happened. Okay. So Latino Network was founded in 1996 by local community leaders seeking to address the challenges, barriers, and opportunities of the Latino community in the larger metro area. Our core values as an organization are the underpinning of our work, from how we develop our programs and strategies to the ways we treat each other and the ways we interact with our community members, our system partners, and our program participants. While we are a culturally specific organization, we're culturally responsive in our work with youth and families who do not identify as Latino. Our experiences with the SUN school model, School United Neighborhoods, other programs on homeless prevention, early childhood education, and violence prevention have proven the efficacy of community-centered work that honors families' values, traditions, healing, and accountability practices. We have presence in programs for youth and families in 3 counties right now, Clackamas, Washington, and Multnomah County. In 2019, we worked with youth in 38 schools across 7 school districts, and we have 2 statewide programs, our Unidos Leadership Program and our Juntos Aprendemos is an early childhood program that we have a partnership in Central Oregon. So next. The Rich Diversion Program is the partnership between Clackamas County Juvenile Department and Latino Network to provide community-based interventions for youth who have committed low-level offenses and who are generally low risk to reoffend. The program started in 2019 and has been designed based on restorative justice values and principles, where youth are held accountable to their victims, where youth are embraced and given the chance to restore their communities and give back. The RICH team, the Latino Network side, currently has 2 full-time employees and 0.35 in program management and oversight, done by a program manager, myself as director, and an evaluation director. All staff has received training, ongoing training, and technical assistance to implement restorative community conferencing and circles based on the Indigenous Restorative Practices Framework. So we do circle keeping, community circles, and community conferencing. Next slide. So what are our program elements and values? So we meet families where they're at. This means we assess needs and barriers, we identify strengths and opportunities that live within each youth and family. We respect and honor youth and families' voices. We work to give youth the opportunity to reflect on their actions, gain insight about those repercussions, and own the way in which they will be held accountable. Victims also have a voice if they agree to participate, and we can do that through supporting youth in participating in the victim offender dialogue or payment of restitution. All our youth also sign diversion agreements where we use their strengths, and address barriers to hold. Let me start that again. Our youth sign diversion agreements, and we use youth strengths and address barriers to hold these youth accountable. All diversion agreements are developed alongside a success plan where youth and family identify clear actions, steps, and supports needed to complete that agreement. We have cultural responsive interventions. We honor confidentiality, and we provide supports to youth and families through service navigation and referrals that are tailored to meet the unique individual needs of our families. Next. Okay, so this is the how we've made this program work. So I'm going to be speaking to each of these columns here. So the initial, well, I actually like to start, youth makes up poor decisions. That's the starting point. And then the department, the juvenile department initiates the referral, and also they determine eligibility. Then this case is sent to Latino network via a secure FTP site. Our program manager receives the case, assigns the coordinator, and also if the youth is a crossover youth, meaning the youth is both involved in the juvenile justice system and the DHS system, the coordinator will follow the crossover youth practice model protocols and connect with the DHS worker to initiate contact. So these two initial phases are done prior to contacting the family. Now we go to the gray part of the gray columns, and this is where we do outreach and initial assessment. So the case is already in our Latino network site. So the program is structured with very specific phases for outreach, and we use different strategies to connect with the families. Once we connect with the family, we share about the program, and we conduct a short juvenile crime prevention assessment. This instrument was designed specifically for Clackamas County youth to determine the risk to recidivate.
Excuse me, I hate to interrupt. Is anyone else seeing, you're mentioning columns. I don't really see any columns on my screen.
Okay, Scott, next.
There you go. Thank you.
Should I go back? Because otherwise nothing that I said made any sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
See,
okay, apologies for that. So let's start again, and I'll try quick so I don't go over my time. So first we start with youth making a poor choice, and then the department initiates the referral and does the eligibility determination. This is done at the department level once they receive the police referral. Then the case is sent to Latino network via secure FTP site. Our program managers receives the referral, assigns the coordinator. If the youth is a crossover youth, meaning the youth is both in the juvenile justice system and the DHS system, the coordinator will follow the protocols for the crossover youth practice model and connect with the DHS worker to initiate contact with guardian. So these two initial phases are done prior to contacting the family. So now let's go to the gray columns. Now it makes more sense, right? So we're doing outreach.
No, go back.
Not that far.
There, yes. Okay. Okay, so once we connect with the family, we share about the program and conduct a JCP assessment. JCP stands for Juvenile Crime Prevention, and this is an instrument, an assessment instrument that was designed specifically for Clackamas County youth and to determine the risk to recidivate. Then we move on to the engagement phase, the intake and engagement. And this is where our coordinator meets with the youth and the family in their community to complete the enrollment paperwork. So all of our agency intake and all of that. And then also to sign the diversion program agreement. This document lists options and agreements for what the youth will do to repair the harm and grow their skills. This document is signed by the youth, the family, and the coordinator. At this stage, we also do a needs assessment, family and youth needs assessment. And also we do a success plan. And this success plan helps the youth identify what types of support they will need to successfully complete their diversion agreement. Then the engagement goes between 4 and 6 weeks for the core of the youth. We go to the completion phase here. So we conduct another quick screen, another juvenile crime prevention screening, quick screen, and send the case back to the department as completed. So that's how youth will move through our program. So next. Okay. Since the fall of 2019, we've received a total of 317 youth have been referred to our program. Of these youth, 56.1% have identified as white, 13% as Latino, 3% multiracial, 3% African American, 3% unknown, 1% Asian, 1% Indigenous. I grouped those on the other category, so you will show on this pie chart. And then 87% have declined to answer or were missing race information. Next. And this is the age group for the youth that we've received, the referrals we received. So 9% are 12-year-olds, 18% are 14-year-olds, 20% 15-year-olds, 22% 16-year-old, 19% are 17 years old, and 1% are 18 years old. Next. So today I'm going to present data from January 2020 to December 2020, which was our first full year of operation. The first 4 months of the program was planning, developing the program, and setting the reporting procedures with the juvenile department. So during this period, 257 youth were referred to the program. A total of 159 youth participated in the program. Of these 159, 142, meaning 89%, successfully completed their agreements, received needs and risk assessments, and worked on their success plan. Of these 159, 11% did not complete the program, and there are various reasons why they would not complete the program. For example, the department can request that we return the referral, or the youth committed a new offense between referral and intake, that time period. Next. So today I also want to share how Latino Network has pivoted to respond to the pandemic. And I'm going to report on October to December of last year. During this last quarter of last year, our 2 coordinators attending 2 Your Service team meetings, the YST meetings, meaning they are building and nurturing relationships in the local high school communities to better serve the youth. We also, as agency, right after the pandemic started, pivoted to provide services to strategize new avenues and partnerships to better support all the families in our programs. This resulted in the creation of our internal funding to support families to cover basic needs. So far from this period of time that I'm sharing information on, 5 of our rich families have received a total of $9,367 in support for food, rent, and utility assistance. This is on top of our client assistance money with the juvenile department. Latino Network was also part of a statewide coalition called the Oregon Worker Relief Fund. This Oregon Worker Relief Fund provided financial support to Oregonians who lost their jobs and were not eligible for unemployment insurance or federal stimulus relief due to their immigration status. So we've referred 5 families to the Oregon Worker Relief Fund. This crisis also has led to the urgency in creating new partnerships with other Clackamas County entities, like the Clackamas County Health Department. With this partnership, we are now able to provide community health worker services to families impacted by the pandemic. This service is available to all Clackamas County who have tested positive for the virus or are in need of quarantining. Since the implementation of this program, we have supported the community at large with $22,396 in client assistance, about $8,000 in food assistance. This new partnership that we pursued is because of our desire to create wider supports within our agency to better serve our diversion families that may be needing the stability, the service navigation, and the financial support to provide for their families. Our program model is based in addressing youth's needs and barriers. We want to help youth be accountable for their choices and be given the chance to repair and address the harm caused by their actions. We do this work in partnership with the family and the communities that they are part of. And also, we do this work with system partners. Our work with system partners gives us the opportunity to address institutions, structures, systems that impact the conditions in which all youth are able to thrive, be successful, be safe, and be whole. Next. And do you have any questions now? I think we open the floor for more questions. And there's my contact information. And yeah, this is what I prepared for you all today.
I have a question. What types of behaviors result in or qualify for referrals?
You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Emily, is that you? Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to locate you. What type of behaviors? Well, these are all youth who are involved with the juvenile justice system. So I would say criminal offenses that will result in a referral to the juvenile department.
Does that include violent crimes?
These are low-level crimes, low-level offenses.
So property.
Mm-hmm. MIPs, vandalism. I don't have the list right here.
Okay.
But yeah, for the most part, very low-level offenses. So.
Okay. Is there any possibility of extending into the higher level offenses as well?
Of course, that's what we want, right? We want more youth to be given opportunities to find better ways of being accountable and being restored and being welcomed back into their communities. But this is a conversation with the system partners, right? So this is a conversation with the juvenile department, the district attorney, all of us, so.
And those discussions are happening, or?
Yeah. Emily, I can probably jump in a little bit. We have an agreement on the types of cases that are eligible to go to the diversion program, but there are sometimes on a case-by-case basis where we might have a case that falls outside of that agreement. And when that happens, that agreement is actually with the district attorney's office, the juvenile team out behind our building. And we will staff things. I'm aware of some times when our senior deputy DA has actually said, I think that might be eligible, or we should consider letting that case go back, go to the diversion program. I don't want to represent that happens a lot or all the time. We really look at kids as the individuals that they are, and we will staff those cases. But if it's something outside of our agreement for the types of offenses, we don't just automatically do that without talking, as Jimena said, with our system partners. So it's not outside the realm of possibility.
I have one question. I don't know, Christina, maybe you can answer. I don't know. 89% a real good success rate, it appears. I mean, that's a high percentage of success, and I'm very, and I know the other chiefs were very big on giving youth opportunities and not just putting them in the system. We want to rehabilitate and show a different path and be successful. That's what community is about. But at the same time, I think I'd be very interested to know, like, I'm the chief for Gladstone. And so I would love to know the success rate in Gladstone, or maybe the chief would want to know the success rate in Oregon City, Malala, or the other jurisdictions, or the sheriff might want to in unincorporated areas. How would we get that information? Because I think this information is valuable to share out in our city councils, to share with talk about in our chiefs meetings to begin with. And the success rates and see where we build. I think, comment with Emily, I get it. This is a starting point, but if we can be very successful, maybe this takes us a different direction with the juvenile system itself. So I'm excited about it because one, it's repeat calls for service are going down for us, and two, we build a healthier community. So anyhow, getting that information would be, I'm not sure if you can, or it's a system set up to isolate and separate like that.
No, actually, Chief Schmerber, that's something that Alice and Jimena can get back to you about. We do have the ability to break it down by each of the towns and cities that the diversion program is operating in. We didn't break it down that way, given the time constraints today, but
Sure.
That information is available, and we'd be happy to share that.
Yeah, I think I'd be very interested in that. I'm sure everybody else would. I'll bring this up in the next Chiefs meeting also. I see a lot of value to the Rich program. So
yes, and we also have it by zip code. So yes, we can generate these for you all. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was it.
I have a question. I'm just curious about what you do to address or prevent substance abuse with this population.
So if youth are charged or not, if they are referred to us with an MIP or something like that, it may be that they want to do or they are required to do an A&D assessment. So we will help the youth get that and get into services, if that's what the offense was about, or even if that's a need or something that the family wants to do. And I think that's the strength of our success plan, that is not just only addressing what the commit or the accountability piece, but we're working with the whole family. So at times, families have asked their youth to complete an assessment, a mental health assessment or alcohol and drug assessment, even if that has nothing to do, or if it's not what the referral is about. So the success plan helps us see the family holistically, right? Not just what happened, but kind of assess everything else that's going on and how we can enhance what's working and mitigate what's not working.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we have some programs, federally funded programs to help do the screening and provide different kinds of supports for kids related to substance abuse. So I can connect with you, talk about what those programs are and how best to make those referrals.
Yes, please.
Hey, this is Judge Leininger, and I think this is a great program. I really appreciate the chance to learn about this. And I had a question about the number of youth who've been served. So it sounds like the program just finished its first full year of operation, and I'm a little unclear on where the number 337 people served goes and where the number 159 youth served in the first full year goes. Could someone please help me understand that?
I can. So we started receiving referrals in September. So we are counting those youth, and we're also counting youth that we currently have open.
So ongoing, and the 157 is
absolutely
complete.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's the success numbers that I share are for January to December.
So the 157.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you. That's great.
Hi, this is John Wentworth. My question is, it sounds like you're tracking the success rate of those who complete the program. Are we tracking what occurs with the youth after that in any way? In other words, whether they re-enter the system in some way?
Christina, do you want to respond to this? At this time, we're not, we just started. Oh, Christina, go ahead.
Yeah, so John, yes, we are tracking recidivism for all of our different, we call this the disposition level. So for example, a youth has a disposition of diversion or informal supervision or probation supervision. So yes, we do track that, but our statewide way that we track that is 1 year after that disposition ends. So we don't yet have a full year. Kids enter at different times. And so yes, as we're getting a year under their belt, we will have that data to share, and we will be sharing that.
Can I ask, is that, I should know the answer to this, but is that 1 year from completion of the program or 1 year from entry into the program?
There's different ways to do it. Our department does it both ways. The statewide measure for recidivism is when a youth gets the initial referral. That's the statewide standard that all 36 juvenile departments around the state use. That's on the published reports on the Oregon Youth Authority website. We also, as a department, go a step further, and we also track from when a disposition ends. So for example, when a youth completes the diversion program or when a youth completes probation, and we measure a year out from that point also. But we do that because we have the staff who have the ability to actually measure that way. Not every juvenile department has that, but yeah.
Any further questions? Thank you for the great presentation. And we'll move on to agenda item number 5. This will be discussion and approval of the use of Criminal Justice Commission funds. I'll give you some background. Our JRI funding, we had excess mainly because of COVID and the inability to spend in open vacant positions in the JRI programs, which we had to return to the commission. The commission used part of that money. The remaining amount of $48,771 or $71.47. The Justice Reinvestment Grant Committee would like Clackamas County to use those funds in one of 2 ways. One would be to fund a locally based nonprofit to further equity, for example, by providing culturally specific services, or the development of a local public safety coordinating council equity plan. I will point out it will be important for LIPSIC to have an equity plan as we move forward to receive justice reinvestment funding. So we need to be showing we're working in one, developing one, and as we move along, at some point they'll require that we have one completed. So I'll open it up for discussion. I did present this information to the Advancing Racial Equity and Public Safety Work Group. Also, just that it would be as part of our meeting today. Essentially, this is, I'd also clarify, this funding doesn't necessarily come to community corrections. It comes to the county and LIPSIC. We decide who wants to manage that money and how it would move forward that way. So this isn't a community corrections initiative. This will be a LIPSIC initiative. So I'll open it up for discussion.
Malcolm, I would just add that based on what we're seeing in the legislature for the potential continuation of the JRA funds, I would highly recommend this group consider using the funding for an equity plan as a whole, because that is going to be likely a significant change in how the funds are distributed in this next biennium.
Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I just want to say it's really, and we're going to talk about the work group in a moment, but it's really timely for the work group as we're just getting going to have some assistance to pull data and plan together, since, none of us are running with copious free time to dedicate to the planning part of that. And so I think, it was really, really great timing, I think. And it's, also incidentally, what's coming down from the state is not surprising to me. And it's part of why I thought it was really timely to get this work group going. Since I, knew this would be needed. So it's pretty exciting, this opportunity.
I think that using it to support this equity plan and the work that is getting started around assessing how we are on equity and how we can eliminate disparities and break down any systemic racism that we find affecting our work in the justice system is really important. And to add to that, it sounds like it's a predicate to getting further JRI funding. I think makes it really important on two fronts, because fundamentally we all want to do our work in a way that maximizes equity and is fair to everyone in our community. And there may be opportunities for us to learn and grow. And also we want to be able to compete for resource that we can use for important programs, perhaps like the RICH program that we just heard about. So I support that wholeheartedly.
Any further discussion?
I just would add, given the two choices, I mean, I love the idea of funding culturally specific services, but I think in the absence of the overall plan and to know where we're going to get our best investments, the exciting thing about investing in the plan now is, when any of us have money in the future, we've got a framework for where to invest it. So
It certainly, I'll add, will put us ahead. Multnomah County has done a plan. Lane County is working on one, and those are the only two counties where their LIPSICs are in process. So it would certainly help us move forward and put us ahead of other JRI applicants also. Would someone be willing to, it sounds like what I'm hearing is there's a strong interest in utilizing the funding to fund or the development of a LIPSIC equity plan. Could I get a motion to?
Hey, Malcolm,
yes.
Just before you get the motion, I'd be happy to provide the motion. I got a quick question related to this. So is part of the intent here also to, in terms of pulling data, but also a review of policies related, to equity, looking for those policies that are counter to what we're trying to do?
There's not a set framework for what this will look like. That will really be up to LIPSIC. And my intention would to be hand this over to the Advancing Racial Equity and Public Safety Work Group to work on and bring information back. The concept from the Criminal Justice Commission is to hire a consultant. They provided a couple. We can, certainly look at what our options are. People may have suggestions. So I think there's a wide range of opportunities for us as we develop a plan and what that would look like.
Great, perfect. I so move.
So we have a motion to utilize the funding to develop a LIPSIC equity plan, and Rich Swift has moved.
Second.
And a second from Adam Freer. Are there any nays? There are no nays. So before we wrap that piece up, I want to make sure LIPSIC is good with handing this off to the Advancing Racial Equity and the Public Safety Work Group for them to have discussion in their work group, and also in that work group to have discussion about the managing the funding and reporting side of it. Any concerns with that? Okay. Very good. We'll move on to item number 6. I'll turn it over to Seth Lyons with a discussion on reviewing the draft vision and mission statement for advancing racial equity in the public safety work group. There were 2 versions provided to LIPSIC to review and to provide.
So this is Seth. Hi, everybody. So we were able to have a really well-attended meeting to kind of lay out the vision, mission, and some initial goals for the work group. And of course, the timing of getting some consultant help was excellent, and the work group was certainly in favor of that. So we did significant work to come up with the draft. Melissa was not able to join us on that day and made an addition after the group had done some kind of email follow-up to approve the version. So I just asked to send on both versions. Interestingly, Melissa, I just want to put you on the spot in a minute to talk a little bit about your suggested amendment. Is interesting because that's a topic we talked about quite a bit. So before I talk about the actual documents, which hopefully you can see, they were attached to the meeting. There were a couple of assumptions that we wanted to make as a group. We certainly acknowledge that systemic racism exists, so therefore it will be found in places as we do our work. But we didn't want to assume that data that we see nationally or trends we see nationally apply to us here. We wanted to be really local and specific and identify where our policies or outcomes that are different based on held identities and address those. And so given that, we drafted the vision statement. The main difference between the two, and I'm going to go to Melissa in just a second, is in the top end vision statement about whether we talk about ensuring racial equity and addressing disparities. We talked about in the mission statement around getting data, making recommendations, providing transparency as a really critical role for LIPSIC, that as a committee we can really project the transparency about what is going on in our system, what's working, what's not working, and creating some data, a simple dashboard that we can look at to see what the performance of the system around racial equity is, and then identifying the best practices. We've got, I believe, 13 chiefs in our jurisdictions in our county. So they're going to be, in addition to finding disparities or policies that could be improved, I'm sure we're going to find some really solid practices and that are making a difference. We want to highlight those as well. So that's what I remember. I'll go to John Schmerber, Chief Schmerber, who's the co-chair, and then Melissa and the rest of the group for anything I missed.
No, I think Seth, this is John. I think I think you covered it very well. I don't think you missed anything at this point. So let's go from there.
And I'll just add to my comments were really, because I missed the meeting, so I didn't get deep into the discussion that you're talking about, Seth, which is helpful context. I was trying to, it might be semantics, but I was trying to understand the statement as it was sounded like, emphasizing racial equity and disparities. And then what was my question after I sort of read that? Like, what are we wanting to do with those things? So it was more a matter of how it was laid out in the sentence more than anything, which was what I was trying to comment on. So I'm not attached either way. Just wanted clarity there.
And Adam, I know you did some of the work to help us get our words organized after the meeting too, if you have any thoughts about the two ideas?
Yeah, sure. It's, I tried to, there's a lot of different ways, formats that people use for vision and mission. What I try to do is go with the more standard, which is vision is really like the end product. And then mission is what's our role in getting to that end product. So that's why the vision statement doesn't say anything about, what we're going to do. It says this is what we're trying to achieve. So hopefully that's helpful in differentiating between the two. And with that though, but interested in making sure that it does include everything that people think needs to be in there in either of them. And then there's goals, and of course the goals are, the much more specific, concrete, measurable things that you can do that move you towards, or that advance the mission towards the vision.
I think that this is great. I like the version 2 best myself, because I think there's going to be active work to ensure. So I think having to ensure conveys that we're going to be actively working to do our investigation of our own practices and figure out where we have an opportunity to improve, and then move forward with improvements as needed. So I think that to ensure that just the revision is helpful. I would also suggest that we change disparities caused by gender identity, disability to related to, because the disparities aren't caused by, they are happening to people who fit those other categories. And really the caused by-ness is the very thing we're trying to explore if we find that there are disparities. I also want to note that I'm hoping that everyone agrees that looking at our court practices is part of this, because just as courts and judges are part of the LIPSIC, how we do our work and opportunities we have for improvement in language we use, or practices that may be alienating or, scary or unintelligible to people depending on their life experience. That's sure part of it. And we have a diversity, equity, and inclusion work group within the courthouse that has formed within the last 6 months, I'd say. And this seems like exactly the kind of project that could help us utilize our in-house resource to get done work that's going to be part of the benefit, throughout the whole system. So I just want to make sure that I love that all the chiefs are interested, it sounds like, in doing this work, but I sure don't see us as being above the need to take a look at what we're doing and find ways to improve it. So please, let's please include the courts in that. Thanks.
Well, we have you listed on the work group. I'm hopeful that we can get you to some of the meetings. I know you, as a judge, your schedule is even more horrifying than many of us, but really hopefully we can make those connections and be in parallel with what's going on at the bench.
Yeah, I'm excited to do it. Thanks for this work product you give us.
And Bruce and John, you both got to participate. If there's anything you want to add.
Not for me, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Thank you for that update, Seth. I don't believe there's anything in this particular matter that we need to vote on. I will open it up. I know that if there's anyone wants to change or add members to the work group, like I said at the beginning of the meeting, Under Sheriff Covenhaver will represent the Sheriff's Office on the work group. Is there any other changes or additions that members wanted to make? We just need to make sure the work group has a majority of participants being LIPSIC members.
I do have one question unrelated to that. The recommendation that we just heard from our judge, who's going to be changing that? Adam, is that going to be you? looking at that and making those adjustments and sending it back out to everybody? Or have we decided we're going to make those changes? I guess that would be something that this group needs to address.
Yeah, I can definitely work with Elizabeth to make those revisions. I mean, I agree, and I think it seemed like I saw some thumbs up.
Yeah.
To the suggestions in terms of the related to instead of caused by. I don't know if you wanted to get input on version 1 versus version 2.
Well, I will say at the work group level, we are hoping to get the final version of this adopted, and whether that's an actual resolution of the committee or just a kind of a head nod, I don't know procedurally, but we definitely, especially given we decided to use this as the beginnings of the scope of work for the consultant, I think this was, this is our work product to date. And so I don't know whether we can, resolve today that, I would propose those two amendments, be included. We can't see it now. We could do it maybe by email. I don't know procedurally what the best thing is to do, but I would love to have approval to go forward.
If there is a consensus and someone wants to make a motion that we move forward as version 2 with the change of from cause to related to. If someone wants to make that motion and we can approve this, and this would become the vision and mission statement of the equity work group for the local public safety coordinating council.
I'm sorry to add something to the pot here, but one of the things that's a real problem in the court is national origin issues, and the way that manifests is unfamiliarity with how we do our work, but also language barriers. So I can't figure out how you'd squeeze in that kind of accessibility in any of the other categories. So maybe this is an amendment for the future, but I'd suggest we look at national origin also, or language.
You could also go back to the work group for further work in bringing back a final product.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it going back because I do want to make sure that we're capturing the court system effectively as well. So we can talk about different ways of doing that.
That will work. You'll bring back a final product at the next meeting. Or if we choose to have a meeting sooner, if there's work to be done that we need to address on consultants or the funding side of it, I can call a meeting specifically for that. Very good. Well,
I'm sorry, if I could just also add to what the judge was saying. I think low, both the national and the origin piece, but also just low English proficiency. I think as we dig deeper into our work, sort of regardless of race and origin, it's low English proficiency is a pretty significant barrier for many of the people we serve. So I think that's a nuance that would probably be worth us considering.
Very good. Thank you for the input, Mary. All right. Thank you for the work on that, to the work group, and Seth for presenting. Before we move on to public comment, I want to take an opportunity, since this will be Rich Swift's last LPSC, to thank him for the work he's done for LPSC over the years and the work overall he's done for the county with housing and human services. It's appreciated, and if you have anything to say, Rich, you're welcome to now, or we can move on.
Thanks, Malcolm. I enjoyed my time with LPSC. I really like the direction of the group and where it's headed. And I think with the new DA and the new sheriff, actually, I think this is some good times for LPSC in terms of what it can do. So thanks.
Thank you, Rich. Okay. We running about 10 minutes ahead, but we can open it up for public comment. Scott?
Great. Thank you, Malcolm. So at the beginning of this meeting, I mentioned that there will be a time for public comment. Now is that time. If you have a comment you'd like to make, you have two options. You can raise your hand in the chat and you'll be able to make your comment there. You won't appear on screen, but this committee will be able to hear you. Option number two is to send in your comment to our email address at clackamas.us. That's a tough one to get out. And I will show that right here just in case. That's again, clackamas.us. Please be sure to keep your comments under 3 minutes if you are going to be audibly giving your comments. So with that, if you have a comment you'd like to make, please raise your hand in the chat. I'll also be checking to make sure any comments in the email are read. So I will check that right now. We don't have any. I'll make one last call for any of the attendees if they would like to make a comment. Nobody's raising their hand, so we'll hand it back to you.
All
Malcolm.
right. Well, thank you for the great turnout today from our LIPSIC members and the presentation today from the Juvenile Department. It's appreciated. I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, and everyone have a good day.
Great first meeting,
Bye.
Malcolm.
Thank you, Christina.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, great
Bye.
job.
Thank you.